Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home. It's Thursday, so we are here to meal prep, if I can talk. We're here to meal prep with you live tonight. And somebody's gonna have to get Millie, because there she goes. Because she's a little needy tonight. So anyway, tonight what I have for you is really simple. I'm here with you tonight just to simply talk with you about how to stay out of the drive-thru during your work week and how to save money and prevent waste whenever you shop at like Costco or Sam's or any of those large membership sites. You can do it. I do it all the time. Or if you're like me and you have a garden and you just can't give it all away. If you were with us last Thursday night, we alluded to how to do this just a little bit, but tonight I'm going to show you when I meal prep for me for next week for my lunches. So what I have here is just all kind of stuff. I mean, I like to buy chicken, beef, pork, any of your proteins in the large family packs, like these for the chicken tenders and these for like the thighs and the wings and the drumsticks. And my little family of four, well, there's only 4 of us. While we might try to eat the whole thing, it's just not always possible. So what I like to do is to buy these large family packs because, for instance, this pack of drumsticks cost me $4.84. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 drumsticks in here, 14. So for less than $5, I can make probably 3 meals out of this one package of drumsticks. Now, you can freeze it just like this, or what I like to do is to pre-portion when I get it home from the grocery store and put it into a freezer, a zip top bag, and then freeze them in meal size portions. Now, the chicken breast, I do that too because we eat a lot of chicken breast. I cook chicken breast from frozen in my Instant Pot. So sometimes you can get those chicken breasts, you know, they're thicker than your 2 hands put together and they're probably as big as Offset. And one of those will feed 2 people, no lie. And so I freeze those in 2s in freezer bags, just like these, and label them with the date and put them in the freezer. I lay them flat so that if I only need 1, then I can get 1 out and 2 are not stuck together in the freezer bag. So that is a really, really good way to save yourself some money. I also have near me, and you may too, a grocery store that has meat sales that are 5 for $19.99. It's called You Pick 5s. That is a really good opportunity if you have an extra 20 bucks to go and stock just your freezer with protein. And you can do that inexpensively, and then you can bring the items home and do what I do, and that's take them and pre-portion them out into meal size. Or just throw them in the freezer as is, get them out and thaw them out. But what I like to do is I like to think ahead. Whatever produce is in season, I'll buy that in bulk too. Like for instance, I get this huge bag of Brussels sprouts, and that's like 3 meals in and of itself. So you can go ahead and prep those up and have those and do what I'm doing and have a meal prep session and prep for a specific meal. Or you can go ahead and cut them into pieces, sizes that you'll normally use, and freeze them that way alone and just grab out of that bag what you need. This time of year, I picked cherry tomatoes today, I picked bell peppers, I picked banana peppers. I do all those the same way. I use a lot of peppers in my cooking for different recipes, and so I will actually meal prep these and freeze them just like this. But tonight I'm meal prepping for lunch next week, so I'm using those there. Squash and zucchini are real hot right now, and you can do the same thing with them. So you can prep them up into good bite-sized pieces like I've done here, and have those in a freezer bag ready to go. And if you do a lot of crock pot cooking or instant pot cooking, all these vegetables, you don't have to thaw them out the night before. You can put them in the crock pot frozen and season them how you want, and they'll be ready to go. That's the wonderful thing about the crock pot and the instant pot, is if you work like me and you're using this for your dinner or your supper, as we say here at the Buttered Home, then those items can be put in those in the crock pot or the instant pot, and you can cook them from frozen. So that's a really big time saver. I do like to mention that if you're doing a pre-mixed meal like what I'm doing tonight, I try to take those out of the freezer the night before and let them thaw just a little bit so they're easier to get out of the bag. So that's something you want to keep in mind whenever you do this, that you want it to be as easy as possible to get out of the bag and to put into your crock pot or your instant pot. And if you have difficulty doing that, even though you've let it sit out overnight in the refrigerator, you can always open that bag and take some scissors and just slide it down that outside seam and then peel the bag away. So there's always a way around it, always. So I'm gonna show you what I'm doing tonight. I have Brussels sprouts, and I have some of my beautiful little cherry tomatoes that I picked off my Sweet 100 bush this afternoon, halved. I have bell pepper, I have zucchini squash, I have yellow squash in here, and you can totally take all this and just throw it in the bag, put your seasonings in, and freeze it that way. If you want to take a little bit more time, you don't mind washing dishes, you can totally do what I'm doing tonight. And I've got my vegetables in one vessel, and then I have my chicken, my protein, on a separate mat. And the idea behind meals like this is you want to cook it all together. So you can do that crock pot, you can do that instant pot, you can do that on a sheet pan in your oven, and just depending on how much time you have. So the goal here is to kind of cut everything the same size so that it all cooks completely in the same amount of time. So what I've done here is, you'll see I've cut my chicken in bite-sized pieces, and this is just some tenderloins that I have bought in a big package, and I won't use the whole big package because I'm going to freeze those in individual portions so I can use them later. So what I'll do is I will actually season on the mat so that I can make sure everything gets good and seasoned. You can totally do this in the bag as well. So we're just gonna add a little salt and pepper to our chicken. And here's the great thing. If you're like me and you never get tired of eating chicken, you could split this into 2 separate applications, 2 separate bags, and totally season them 2 different ways. And that being the case, you could have 2 different types of meals. So if you wanted a spicy kind of chicken vegetable mix one day, you would use, you know, your spicier things like your chipotle and your maybe some hot peppers. You would use like cayenne pepper, hot sauce, whatever you can think of. And then if you wanted like a lemon pepper type, you could season it that way too. But what I'm doing tonight is I am doing a Italian chicken and vegetables. So I have my chicken with salt and pepper, and then I have just this Italian seasoning that really is just mainly basil, oregano, and rosemary. And I'm going to put that all over my chicken. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of garlic powder. Now, I don't own garlic salt because one too many times I have gotten confused with the garlic salt and the garlic powder. And if you've ever done that, raise your hand. And if you haven't done it, try your best not to do it because, oh gosh, wow. You only need probably about 1/8 of garlic salt to garlic powder. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And just for an extra added little kick, because hot stuff is good for you, it lets you know you're alive and it keeps your juices flowing. I'm adding a little crushed red pepper just to kick it up a notch. And then I have some other spices over here. That was what I was just going to talk with you about, is that you can totally take everything I have here and split it in half into 2 different bowls and season it 2 different ways, and you've got 2 different types of meals. So you can change things up. So while you might be eating chicken and vegetables every day for lunch, it's not really the same thing. It's all in what you make it. So that's why, and that's one of the great things that I think about cooking, is that you can take the same ingredients and make different things out of it, and it's never boring, right? Never boring. So we're gonna do the same thing with our vegetables. And here I have squash, zucchini, some tomatoes. I have the green bell pepper. And to that, I'm adding the rest of my squash and some diced onion. And it doesn't matter if you chop the onion smaller than everything else, because the onion is really just there for flavor. So it's totally fine if it tends to kind of cook away. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you was that sometimes in your vegetables, you will have vastly different sizes of your vegetables. Never fear, you don't have to pick through and find them all at the same size. You simply just modify your cuts. So you would have more cuts on this one and fewer cuts on this one to get them to be the same size so that they cook at the same amount of time. It's not rocket science. It's easy, easy, easy. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to season my vegetables the same way that I season my chicken. Salt, pepper, red pepper, Italian seasoning, so while it's great to have a recipe, I think it's even better to get in the kitchen and experiment. And if you don't have enough spices, you can go to your local dollar store and buy spices for 2 for $1. So, you know, this crushed red pepper was 50 cents at like the Dollar Tree. So you can spend a lot on spices, you can spend very little on spices and still have the same thing. And if you're like me and you go through it pretty fast, it's not gonna matter what kind of quality it is anyway. There are certain spices though that you wanna have a better quality of, things like saffron, vanilla, things like that that are very delicate spices. I don't recommend that if you're baking or anything that you buy anything but pure vanilla. Imitation vanilla, there's a huge, huge difference in those. So anything like that you do want to be careful with. But as far as savory spices, you just can't beat the 50-cent deal. You just can't. And I encourage you to get in the kitchen with things like chicken, pork chops, easy things like that, and go to town, have fun with it, and learn about what your favorite flavor profiles are. I didn't get a spoon, so let me get a spoon. So I'm just going to toss my vegetables around just a little bit. Never fear, they're going to get all this nice spice because they're all going in the bag. But just to kind of, you know, a lot of times we eat with our eyes, so it makes me look forward to it by looking at all this beautiful color and things. And you know, I think for me, probably the greatest thing is that I grew a lot of this, so it makes it taste even better. But if you didn't, it'll still taste good. That's fine. That's just one of my little quirky things. So I'm going to get my zip top bag, and we're going to toss our vegetables in carefully. It's not Messy Kitchen Monday after all. Get them all in there. And then the last thing I'm gonna, well, it's not the last thing, but one thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna massage my chicken. Because a lot of times whenever you season your proteins, if you just put it on there, whenever you add whatever cooking liquid you're using, it tends to just wash it away. So you notice I seasoned my protein first, and that was to allow it to kind of sit and get some of those flavors to just kind of break through the skin. And now I'm just massaging it to make sure that that seasoning is all on there really well. So into the bag it goes on top. Gonna wash my hands. And then I'm gonna seal the bag, but I'm gonna open it again in just a minute. Let me clear my mat away. I don't want to get any of that chicken juice on me. Always cut your vegetables and your proteins on separate cutting boards or cutting mats as well. All right, so now I'm just gonna kind of mix everything up. Be careful because I didn't take all the air out, and sometimes all that extra air in there will cause that top to pop open. Believe me, if you've been watching me long enough, you've seen me spill soup and chicken or whatever I was cooking all over the counter. All right, so we got everything kind of mixed in there. And now I'm just gonna add in just a little bit of olive oil, because when I take this out of the fridge or the freezer to cook it, I just want to dump it in my crock pot or my Instant Pot or my sheet pan, put it in the oven, turn those other two things on, and walk away. So I'm gonna seal it up almost all the way and push the rest of that air out of there. And then I'm just gonna take it and massage it all just a little bit to distribute that olive oil in there pretty well. And look, isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. Now, ordinarily, if I was popping this in the freezer, I would date it. That way, if I went to the freezer to get out whatever I had prepped, I could look and I could get the oldest thing out and cook it. So that's always a good rule of thumb, is to make good use of that white label on there and date it. And you may even want to label what it is, just so you'll know. You put chicken and veggies or something like that. But I am going to cook this probably Sunday for my lunches for next week. So everything I put in here is fresh. It will actually last in the refrigerator chilled until Sunday and be just fine, and actually be marinated in that olive oil just a little bit. So that is at least 5 lunches for me for next week. And it's all good for you. And I mean, I could probably calculate the calories from this for you per serving, but it's not bad at all. So you can be smart and you can be more nutritious minded by meal prepping at home. We did that, and I talked most of the time in less than 20 minutes. And that's lunch every day. And I don't know about y'all, but lunch where I work is anywhere from $8 to $15. So you do that times 5 days of the week that you're working, and God, you just saved a ton of money. Not to mention you didn't hardly spend anything on any of this, because produce that's in season is relatively inexpensive. And if you buy the proteins like I do in the family packs, you probably already have that in your freezer. So that is the great thing about meal prepping and taking just 30 minutes to an hour of your day on the weekend, and you can be more prepared for your week. One of the great things that we do in the Busy Gals Cooking Club is we equip you with tools to do this. Now, while this isn't a recipe, this is just something that I like and I know how to do. I learned how to do things like this by following recipes, by getting inspiration for recipes when I didn't have inspiration to cook for the week or to cook for my lunches. And what the Busy Gals Cooking Club does for you is it gives you that inspiration. You can take any recipe that we have and just about modify it to cook in any of those 3 ways that you cook: crock pot, instant pot, oven. And not only that, it teaches you how to use different flavor profiles together so that you can become more experimental in the kitchen. So that is probably the best thing that you'll get out of the BGCC if you join, is cooking inspiration. The recipes are great because if you're extremely busy, then you already know what you're going to cook this week for the month, and you have those shopping lists that are sent to you that are posted in the group as well. So if you think that you need a little spark and spunk in the kitchen, I'm going to drop a link in the comments after we get done on how you can join the Busy Gals Cooking Club. And it's $9.99 a month. It'll be the best $9.99 a month you spend because I do all the work for you. Aside from coming to your house and preparing it for you, I've done everything else. Not only that, we're a small group, so I am very accessible. If you need to ask me a question, I had one of the members FaceTime me the other night when she got her Instant Pot, and I talked her through her first Instant Pot use. So Becky, if you're here, give us a shout out and let us know how you like that Instant Pot. I think she was pleased. So nonetheless, we're not going to take up any more of your Thursday night. We are so happy that you joined us. We hope you'll be back with us on Monday night for Messy Kitchen Monday, because we will be continuing with our June of cool desserts. And oh, I got a good one for you on Monday night. You will be sad if you miss it. So be sure and join us here at 7:30 Monday night. We'd love to have you. And if you need more information about anything, you can direct message me and I will get back with you just as quick as I can. But other than that, y'all have a wonderful night and an even better weekend. So from the buttered home to your home, we love you. Bye.